Okay, this is the first of a new series of experiments. What we've done is to visualize the LEDs on the SMADs as being presented in 5 concentric rings. The first ring in the center has just got 1 LED, then we have 8 LEDs, then 2 rings of 16 LEDs, and finally 1 ring of the 4 LEDs in the corner. And all we're doing is lighting the LEDs starting in the centre and radiating outwards. The left hand head has got the 29 segment shells attached in front of the SMADs, and that means that some of the segments have got 2 LEDs in. The right hand head has got 45 segment shells attached to the SMADs, and it's interesting even at this stage to observe the differences even though we're displaying exactly the same patterns. So what we're doing in this second experiment is a little bit different. We've divided the LEDs into 7 groups. So in the case of the 29 segment shells, where some of the segments have got 2 LEDs, then all of the LEDs in the same position in the segments are in one group, and the LEDs in the other position in the same segments are in the other group. What we're doing is we're randomly picking a group, randomly picking a colour, and displaying that group, and then doing the same thing again, randomly picking another group, randomly picking another colour, and displaying that group, and so on. And as before, it's sort of interesting to compare the difference between the 29 segment shells on the left and the 45 segment shells on the right, because in all these experiments, well, almost all, we are going to be displaying exactly the same patterns on all of the SMADs. Okay, this is a slight variation on the previous theme. Last time we were picking a group randomly, then assigning a random colour, then displaying that group and then moving on. In this case what we're doing is for each of the groups we're assigning a random colour, and then we're displaying all of the groups simultaneously. And as before, it's interesting to compare the difference between the 29 segment shells and the 45 segment shells. The 29 segments give us a sort of diffused effect, by comparison the 45 segment shells are more of a stained glass window or even a kaleidoscope type effect. Okay, I should point out that up till now we've been running our LEDs at only 50% of full brightness because I didn't want to wash things out with the camera sensor. If we get too bright you can't see anything at all is the problem. In this experiment we're doing things slightly differently. The right hand SMAD on each head is displaying the standard values, this is at the 50% brightness. The left hand SMAD on each head is displaying the same thing but gamma corrected. We had some success with gamma correction previously when we were using our ping pong ball array, but that was when we were running those at full brightness. So at this 50% brightness, once we apply the gamma correction, it just looks washed out. It's a bit sad and desultory sort of thing. So I don't think we'll be doing this again. Although, once again, I did just for my own satisfaction run everything at 100%. And in that case, the gamma correction looks pretty good. But when you start dimming the LEDs down, because we've got, I think, insufficient resolution, we're only using 8 bits per colour. And if you look at the gamma function we're using, it just means everything gets too dim and there. So we'll just chart this one up to experience and move on with our lives, I think. In this final experiment, we've returned to an earlier version, where we're generating new colours for all of the groups and then displaying all of the groups simultaneously. The only difference in this case is that we've applied a fade. So once we've generated our new colour palette, we then gradually fade. I think I've set it to about 1.5 seconds from the previous colour to the new colour. Then we generate a new palette of colours for all the groups and we fade again. Doing all the pixels simultaneously. And as I've mentioned before, it's really interesting to compare the difference between the SMADs with the 29 segment shells applied on the left and the SMADs with the 45 segment shells applied on the right. Remembering that we're displaying exactly the same patterns to each of the SMADs. And you can really see the difference between the diffused effect on the left and the stained glass window or kaleidoscope type effect on the right.